Hello, so mates. In the course of this video, I'm looking at how to make this baby girl's gown. It's a free gown with a gather design at the lower part. Let's dive into the video. So, you are going to be using a duchess material for this. And to that, I started off by creating my starting point line. So, this is my starting point line. And to that, I'm going to be creating my neck depth and my neck width. For my neck width, I'm using 2.75 inches. And that's I'm also going to be using for my neck depth as well. For the depth, just had to usually do 3 by 3 for an adult. So I'm using 2.75 for this. So I'm going to mark that, after which I'm going to square it up with my rule. So next up, I'll be marking my shoulder width. The shoulder divided by 2 is what I'm going to be marking. So I'm using a 10 inches shoulder. 10 divided by 2 is giving me 5. So I'm meant to take out half of 1 inches from this shoulder width because it doesn't have a sleeve. But because I'm cutting it directly on the fabric, I'll be taking out half of an inch. The remaining half of an inch from the 1 inch I'm meant to take off is going to be for turning my sleeve, like for giving the knit finishing to the sleeve. So at the end, I'll be marking 4.5 inches instead of 4 inches. You get, the width is 10 inches. 10 inches divided by 2 is 5 of a 5 inch. 5 inch, I'm going to take out 1 inch, but I'm taking half of an inch, that means 4.5. So that I'm going to mark the same measurements like downwards so as to be able to create a straight line. So I'm going to be taking out my shoulder slope. My shoulder slope, I'm using 1 inch. So I'm squaring up my 1 inch to connect it to the tip of your neck width. And so from here now we will be creating our armhole depth. To get my armhole depth, you're going to be measuring your chest, using the chest measurement of your client divided by 6 plus 1.5 inches. This is for a baby girl. So that's how I got my shoulder depth, my armhole depth. And I'm going to add in half of an inch to that measurement. That's for joining, because I'm cutting directly on the fabric, as you can see. So after that, I'm going to square it out, and for to that square, I'm going to be placing my chest measurement. Your chest divided by 4. Because it's a free gown, I'm going to add in 1 inch to it to make it free, plus an extra 1.25 for my sewing allowance. So your chest divided by 2 inch, but your chest divided by 4 inch, you mark it plus 1 inch for ease, and then 1.25 for sewing allowance. And after which I divided my armhole by 2, and then I went in by half of an inch, able to get my armhole curve. You get? So I divided my armhole by 2. I measured this, I divided by 2, went in by half of an inch, and then I'm creating my armhole curve. I connected this all the way. Then continue with our measurements. I'll be placing my horizontal remaining vertical measurements, which is our half length. The half length I'm working with, as you can see, is 11 inch. I marked out my half length, and then I'm marking out the full length of the gown. So I marked out the full length of the gown under. As you can see, I'm working with 22.5 inches. It's for a girl of 8 years or 7 years. And then I added 1 inches for my allowance. Thus I'm going to be hemming the gown. So I took the exact measurement at the other side so as to be able to create a straight line. So it's the other measurement, the half length and the full length was 1 inches for my hemming allowance. And so that I'm going to be squaring it up. I'll be connecting it all together using my ruler. So we are going to continue with our horizontal measurements. The half length divided by 4 inches. So I divided my half length by 4. That's the measurement, just as I did for the chest, plus 1 inch for ease, and then plus 1.25 for sewing allowance. This is a free gown, so I'm going to create. I just connected the chest to the waist, and then from there I'm going to slant my ruler so the full length. As a guide, you can place your hip measurements if you don't want it to be too free. So I'm going to use my hip measurement as a guide to know how wide I want it to be. So I came down from the half length by 5.5 inches, and then I'm sorry I didn't get the measurements. Yeah, I'm trying to repeat it here. So I came down from my half length by 5.5 inches for my hip allowance, then divided my hip by 4 plus 1 inches plus 1.25. But I'm not going to using exactly what I marked that. I'm just using that as a guide to slant out my A line. I'm using it as a guide to slant up my curve, you see. So I tilted my tape outward a little bit from that measurement, and I slanted it all the way to the hem. So that's how I did mine. Then I'm going to be covering out the end of the hem. You can see how squared it is. So to create that curve, you can use your tape and measure 1.5 inches or 1 inches upward and slant it. Or can just use your free hand as you saw me doing the slant out the hem. And then I went over to curve out my neck measurement to give it that the C curved neckline, that is it. And that is all. So to this I'm going to be cutting it out. So this is all we have for our different part of our gown, and I'll be cutting it out. Please have any question. If you have any question, do well to drop it in the comment section. I'll be there to attend to you guys. If you have a question, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, share with your fellow soulmates, and let's continue. So we're cutting the gown out. After which, you're going to using this front pattern as a guide to cut out the back part of the gown. So here I'm using my cuff to cover out that sharp edge. I found out that that place is a bit pointy. So I went ahead to fold my fabric again into two. This is for the cutting of the back part of the gown now. And to that I'll be placing the front part of the gown on it. So I'm using as a guide to cut out the back, as I said earlier. But at the center front, I'm going to leave out some space there. That's for placing my zipper allowance. And with my iron, I ironed it out to make it lay flat and smooth. Yeah. So I'll be extending the sleeve. Now we'll cut out the 2.5 inches for our back. For our front, I'm not going to do the same thing. So I'm trying to square up the starting point line. Yeah, I just squared it up as a guide to cut out the back. And for the back, I'm using 1 inches for my neck depth. My neck depth. So I slanted it and curved it into the 2.75 inches with our neck width. And for the zipper allowance, I'm using 1 inches as well for my zipper allowance. So, well, first of all, I'll be getting the half length. I'm trying to get the half length of the gown that we're working with. So I'm trying to get the half length, and this is the half length of what we are working with. That's going to be a get. I'm going to get to place my half inches from my 1 inches for my zipper. So I marked out 1 inches at the tip of the neck for my zipper allowance. So much I did that. But first of all, let's create a line for where our distance started from. So I'm just trying to create a mark for uh, where the center front of the gown started. So this is the 1 inches for our zipper allowance. Hope you are following me. So I'm going to slant it all the way to the half length. As you can see, I did not add 1 inches for the zipper allowance at the waist. But I'm going to further have that 1 inches for the zipper allowance I didn't add at the center back to the side. This is to avoid zip bulging, and I'm going to blend it all the way to the chest and then all the way to the hip. Then after sewing it, after joining my zipper by 1 inches, I must have taken out that 1 inch that I added to the side, you get. So I marked out my hip line. The 1.5 we came down for our hip. I continue marking my 1 inches for my zipper allowance, and so that I'm connecting it together all the way to the half length at the center back. Hope you are getting what I'm just saying. If you have been following my tutorial, for that's how we take out our zipper bulge. We used to this method by now. So that's how we do it. But after sewing in our zipper, that 1 inch that we added to the side, we take it out from the center back. Hope you're getting me. So that is it. And then I'll be slanting the tip of that gown as I stated earlier. So I went up by 1.5 inches, and so that I'm going to be covering it out. And to this, every other thing remains the same. You see? And go up by 1 inches, 1.25 inches, and then slant it. Just to avoid that that curved and pointed edge at your fray gown. After sewing this, it used to look weird. So that's how to take care of it. Just slant it out a little, and we'll go over to cutting. So apart from the zipper allowance, every other thing remains the same. So see from our cutting. And then I'm going to take into consideration that 1 inches that we came out with. We came out by at the side back. That's how to cut it. And then slant it in, continue your cutting. That's all. So our back and our front piece of our gown is ready. So we proceed to the cutting of our interfacing. That's for turning the neck and the armhole. So I place my material, my fabric into two. This is the center front that we are cutting. So make sure that your fabric is unfold, and the center front of your material and the center and the folded part of your the folded part of the front pattern and what you're cutting is the same. So I'm going to be cutting it like that to see me demonstrate. So you're going to be tracing out after everything is equal, the tips are equal. We're going to be tracing out the neck region, the shoulder, and the armhole curve. We're going to be tracing that exactly on the piece underneath it. That's going to be our interfacing. That is it for the front, and then we'll go over to the cutting of the interfacing for the back as well. So I folded my material again into two, and I'm trying to press it out to get the fabric looking smooth and neat. I'm going to be placing the back piece as well. And to that, I'm going to be tracing out, just as we trace out for the front, the armhole, a little bit of the side, the armhole, the shoulder, the neck region. So I'm going to cut that straight, and that's the length of the interfacing. and every other thing remains the same. Our front and our back is ready. So I've gone ahead to weave the materials, all the pieces we cut out. This is the front. I weaved that using a white thread though. This is interlining as well. I'll be facing. So I'm going to be placing it right side facing the shoulder as you see me do, and I'm going to be sewing it at the neck. I'm using my pin to hold it down to make it stable, and then I'm going to be turning it by half of an inch. Because our we left, no, our depth is 2.75. So after sewing by half of an inch, we'll be having 3.25 hours our neck depth, and later on I'm going to take it by half of an inch at the shoulder. So just trying to give you a rundown of what it will look like later on. So I'll be sewing it down by half of an inch. This is what we have after sewing it, and then I'm going to be giving it a notch. So I'm going to be notching out the neckline to make it have ease to lay flat after sewing it. So I'm going to give it a notch, after which we'll be top stitching. Be on the channel with us, you'll be used to this process by now. So this is how we do it. After sewing the neck, we give it a top stitch, and then we will give it a notch, and then we give it a top stitch. Please, if you are new here, just subscribe and join the community, and turn your notification bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. So this is me giving it a top stitch. A top stitch is usually very close to the stitch, and it's like packing your allowance to the neck allowance to the lining side, and I'm going to be top stitching it on the lining side of the material. Get sewing it very close to the initial stitch, but not on your stitch. Packing the lining, like the allowance that we gave a notch earlier, to one side. That's just the literal what top stitching means. And this is what we have. And then we will be going over to turning out our this one as well, our armhole side as well. So this is a top stitch. You can see how beautiful we made the neck look. See how smooth it is. You see, that's what we are talking about. Over to the back, to do the same thing we did to the front as well, turning in our neck region. So placing the front part of the material on the front side of pressing the front side of the lining and material together, I was sewing it by half of an inch as well. And this is the other side of the back. I'm going to be sewing the neck region as well by half of an inch with the side of the back, after which I'll give it a notch as we give the front, and I'll be top stitching them as well. So this is what we have. So I'm going to my pressing tape. I'm going to be ironing out the whole neck region. This is what I have after I've given it a good press. So how beautiful it is. This is the front. side of it. I've ironed out the neck region and this is the back, all ironed. And this is the other side of the back as well. So this is the two back and that's the front. So I'm going to go back to going to continue with our sewing. I want it to be turn out our armhole. No, we are going to be turning out our armhole by half of an inch. So I pinched the lining, the half inches that showing at that neck region. I pinched it and I took it to the back to make it lay flat. So you can see how flat it is now, so I can see what I'm working with. And then I'm going to be turning the armhole and sewing it up by the half of an inch. So I'm going to be doing the same to the other side of the armhole as well. Yeah, so I'm going to sew it a half of an inch as well. Because the armhole is curved, I'm going to give it a notch as well. This notch helps, especially if you're working with a curved area. It makes the curvy part of your material to have a little bit space, and that space will help it to relax on your body. So that's the essence of all this notch. So I'll be notching the two sides of the armhole as well, and then we're going to be turning it over to the right side. So this is what we have. So I'm going to be pressing it. Use my pressing tape to press it down later. So this is what we have after pressing it. See how beautiful it is, seamless and neat. This is what you're working. This is what we want to achieve here. So I'm going to go over to continue with the sewing. As you can see, I've not turned the armholes part of the back here. So I'm going to give the neck a seamless finish as well. So I'm going to be placing the right side of the front and back together. So I'm going to make sure that the shoulders are equal. I'm going to use my pin to pin it down. That's this part I opened up now. That's the lining for the back. So please do follow me. This is lining for the back. So I'm going to open it up. Use my pin to pin the right side of the main fabric of the back and the front together, and then I'm going to turn this lining all over to the back. This is to hide the shoulder seam after sewing it, and then I'm going to be sewing it down by half of an inch. Hope you understand what I'm saying. If you couldn't get it, you can rewind and go watch it. So I'm going to be sewing it down by half of an inch now, after which I will now turn my armhole for the back piece. Hope you're understanding me. So I went over and I sewed it down by half of an inch. Now I've sewn the shoulder region and then I pushed the back material out from the line, and then this is the back that I'm working with now, the back piece and the line and the lining piece of the back. So I went over to turn my armhole, so you can see I'm not sewing the armhole of the back part of the gown now. I shifted the front one side, the front piece one side, and then continued with the sewing for my armhole, and that is it. So now I've joined the shoulder and I've turned the armhole for one part of the back piece. So this is the shoulder. You can see how seamless it's looking. This is the back. This is the outer part, and then the other side is the other side. And then see the wall you're trying to hide here. So I'm going to be cutting out that bulkiness at that region. So I found out that my stitch didn't stay well, so I'm going to go ahead and restitch the shoulder region. After which I'm going to use my scissors to trim out this excess material inside, because I'm not going to use for anything. You can just for this joining. I'm going to trim it down so that the shoulder can lay flat as possible. Get. So we'll be repeating the same thing for the other side of the shoulder as well. This is the other back piece. Please watch carefully. I'm placing the shoulders to be equal. Make sure they're equal. And I'm going to open, just place it, make sure they're equal. And I'm going to use my pin and I'll be opening it up, taking out the lining part of the back piece out of the way. Then I'm going to be pinning it down, and the lining part of the back piece is now going to be going all the way to the back. It's as simple as that. Take it all the way to the back and then sew it by half of an inch, like join the whole piece. I'm having three pieces now: the lining for the back main piece, and the front. So I'm going to sew in the three pieces, the three piece to become one, three pieces become one. So just sew it at that neck region by half of an inch. After which you're going to shift the front to one side, and then you're going to be continue with the turning of the armhole for the back piece. So I shifted the back, as you can see. Then I continued my sewing. Please, if you are watching up to this point and have not subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please subscribe and join the community. You drop videos every week. So I went over to notch out the excess that we have there, cut it out. And just as we did for the front part, we'll be notching the armhole curve as well for the back piece. First of all, let's see what we have there to make sure it's looking beautiful. After which I'm going to open it up, and then I'm going to be notching the armhole for this piece. And remember, the other part of the back we have not notched as well. I'll be notching the two holes for the back, two back pieces, and I'll be going over to my pressing table to give it a good press. So this is what we have after we have done pressing it down. That's how beautiful it's looking. This is the right side, all laying flat. Because I weave this, I'm going to go over to making the two piece to be a one piece. You get? I'm going to sew down the lining and the main piece together. But if you are using a lining for it, like you're turning the whole side with the line, you're not weaving it, you can go ahead to turn your main fabric by half of an inch. So because I weaved it, I'm not turning it by half an inch. Just going to sew it down to become a one piece so that it can be more easier to work with for me. So I'm sewing the lining and the main material to become a one piece, to be together, to be one, and then we can continue the remaining parts of our sewing process. So now I'm going to go over to the sewing. You're going to be attaching our zipper here. So I'm done making it be a one piece. I cut out the excess there, and then I'm going to continue with my sewing. So I'm going to measure how deep I want my zipper, and then I'm going to sew the remaining parts all the way to the hem. So don't forget what we're using for our zipper allowance is 1 inch. So I'm going to sew that 1 inch all the way to the hem, and I'm going to attach my zipper by that same 1 inch as well. So for my zip, I'm going to use an invisible zip, and this is an invisible zipper footer. I'm going to change my invisible zipper footer. But since this is not a 2 round attach it, I'm going to skip this. But check out my next video for how to attach an invisible zip. This is what we have after I'm done sewing the zip, and then we're going to head over to the shaping of the sides for the gown. Remember for the shaping we left 1.25 inches. So I'm going to make sure I line this the gown, the armhole point. I'm going to pin it down. I'm sewing by 1.25 inches. I will left for our seam allowance. Please, as a tailor, you should be used to working with your pin by now. There's no outgrowing of this. Make sure your measurements are correct and make sure you're working with your pin. The important is to get a neat work after, not what I ordered versus what I got. To get a neat work later on, your clients will appreciate it. Even you self, as you're sewing it, the work is looking neat and good and pleasant to you. So it encourages you to sew more. Like if I'm working and what I'm working is not giving what I want, like you just end up losing up the whole thing. Like it doesn't give that vibes you get. So make sure that you are working with your pins and your tape is beside you. So I'll be doing the same thing for the other side as well. Sewing it by 1.25 inches all the way to the hem. This is how the right part of our fabric is. If you are doing ready to wear, you can see how this is how your work should look after. So next is to hem the lower part. This is the zipper allowance part. This is the center back. I'm going to be opening that up, and then I'm going to be hemming the lower part. I'm going to double folding it to hem it. Started from the center back of my gown. So I double folded just the normal way you do your hemming. I'm going to sew it all the way round. So this is what we have after we are going to be pressing this. So next is to go over to the making of the design and the lower parts. This is the material I'm using. I've already cut up my material. I'm using a width of 5.5 inches. It's a long strip of material. So here I'm folding the edges, the two part of the edges, like double folding them. After that, we're going to be giving our plates and sewing it to get that ruffle design at the lower part of the gown. So here I'm just trying to hem it. I've already sewed the other side as you can see. So I'm trying to repeat the same process to the other side as well. So after I was done double folding the two edges, I have 3.5 inches left. So I'm going to use a contrasting thread to do my plating. I'm plating this slightly above the middle. So the midpoint of this is meant to be 1.75 on both sides, so 3.5 inches. But I'm plating it on 1.5 inches from one end. So as you can see from the thumbnail, the plate is not exactly sewn at the middle of the plate. One side is the lower part is more longer than the upper part. So I'm going to pleat this with a contracting thread, after which I'm going to be sewing it. I'm sorry I lost a clip of where I was sewing it, but this is exactly what I did. After pleating it, I made sure that I packed the gathers and I sewed on it. I packed the gathers, just pleat this from the one end to the other. If you have a gathers foot, be more easier for you, but if not, you can still do it this way and then use your thread and needle and create your gathers. After you're going to be placing it, making sure that the other end of the pleat is at the other end, is touching the hem of your gown. That means the lower part is touching the hem of your gown, and then you create your pleat and be sewing it gradually. To sew it stop, you make sure that this strip, one the end is at the end of your gown, like it's not shorter than your gown, and it's not longer than your gown. It's on the hem of your gown. I continue to just run your stitch on top, and that's all. So this is what I have after the whole sewing. It's not that simple. So see you in my next video. Bye.